Hello, top 10 biggest hackers in the world. In popular culture, hackers often look like heroes. They have modern equipment and the ability to hide from the guards as if invisible. All of us have seen in the movies how hackers invade the state database or steal electronic data and then are wanted by law enforcement officers. Often, many hacker attacks are very simple and do not lead to anything other than harm to ordinary users. Which of them can be called the biggest? Let's see what crimes our current heroes committed. Number 1. Adrian Lamo. He's one of the best hackers in the world. In America, many people know him. He was chased by federal marshals, the FBI and the police, and yet managed to participate in live broadcasts of NBC, CNN. Our hero's name is Adrian Lamo. The thing about Adrian is that he's probably the only homeless hacker in the world. If he's lucky, he spends the nights in abandoned buildings in warm weather. If not, he sleeps on park benches in cold weather, in youth squares. The nickname the homeless hacker stuck to him because of his habit of launching attacks from open networks in libraries, internet cafes, bars and other free wireless internet places. "I haven't paid $1 for the internet in my life," he jokes. He dropped out of school a long time ago, and since then he's been travelling around America, never staying anywhere for too long. Despite this frivolous lifestyle, Adrian has successfully penetrated the most secure networks in the world. He caused serious damage to large companies such as Microsoft, Google, and the New York Times. And Lamo's list of wins includes companies such as Yahoo, Citigroup, Bank of America, and Singular. He was caught in 2002 after hacking into the website of Times. Then Lamo got access to data of all the newspaper's columnists and added his name to the list of expert who was given the publication comments. At trial, he pleaded guilty, which resulted in the prison term being commuted to 6 months of house arrest. Number 2. Jensen James Ancheta. You won't believe it, but there are also zombies in the hacker world. Native of California, Jensen James Ancheta is the first hacker in history to be charged with controlling an army of zombie computers, also called a botnet. A botnet is a network of computers that are infected with malicious software then used to send spam and attack websites. Ancheta took advantage of shortcomings of the Microsoft Windows operating system to infect hundreds of thousands of computers, creating a zombie network of machines. Among the infected machines were US military computers in California and Virginia. The hacker made a profit by installing advertising software on hacked computers, the owners of which did not even know about it. According to the prosecution, some of these attacked computers were located in the weapons department of the US Navy Aviation Support Center, California, and the US Department of Defense. Ancheta was sentenced to 57 months in prison and ordered to pay $15,000 to military organizations whose computers were affected by his attacks. All the income received by Jensen James Ancheta used to buy new clothes and a luxury BMW car, which he still had to give to the state as a debt. Number 3. Astra. A hacker who never broke anything, left no trace, and that's why he could work for years. The man with the alias Astra was a regular mathematician in the past. The identity of Astra was not disclosed. All that is known about him is at the time of his arrest in 2008 he was 58 years old. He gained access to computers of the French aviation company Dassault Group, stealing data on weapon technologies. Astra implemented information about jet fighters and military aircraft. Its computers were more than 250 interested people with different countries. Damage Astra's infiltration of Dassault computers cost the company more than $360 million. He didn't take money from people's accounts, but was paid almost $31,000. Impressive, isn't it? Number 4. Owen Thorn Walker. Next on our list is a hacker with Asperger's syndrome. Owen Thorn Walker was homeschooled from the age of 13. He received no formal computer training, but he learnt to programming and encryption on his own. In 2008, 18-year-old Owen Thorn Walker pleaded guilty to 6 charges of cyber attacks. He led an international hacker network that hacked 1.3 million computers to steal more than $20 million from bank accounts. Since the young man in the group was only engaged in writing code that other members had used to hack and steal money for his activities, he received only $32,000. When Walker pleaded guilty during the trial, the charges against him were dropped, and he got off with an $11,000 fine. Now he works as an information security consultant. Investigators called Walker's program one of the most advanced they'd seen. Number 5. Kevin Poulsen. Have you ever watched a TV show where you need to call live to win a cash prize or other valuable item? This guy was the lucky winner of a Porsche 944 S2 and other prizes. To your attention, Kevin Poulsen, better known as Dark Dante. Kevin Poulsen is the first American in history to be banned from using computers and accessing the internet after being released from prison. In the late 80s and early 90s, Poulsen was engaged in hacking phone lines. He became famous when he connected the Kiss FM phone line in Los Angeles. He became the 102nd caller and won a Porsche. He was put on the federal wanted list and then appeared on the TV show Unsolved Mysteries. Strange for some reason, just then all the TV channels' phone lines were busy. After Poulsen was caught, he had to serve 5 years in prison and was then banned from accessing the internet and using a computer for a further 3 years. Number 6. Albert Gonzalez. Albert Gonzalez, the son of Cuban immigrants, turned out to be a hacker who likes to live in a big way, without denying himself anything. He liked to stay in 5-star hotels for a long time, and once threw a party worth $75,000. Albert was introduced to computers at an early age, when he was 8 years old. Quite quickly he realised that high technology can bring a good profit and made a comfortable existence, for which he eventually paid. The man created a website, shadowcrew.com, users of which were about 4,000 people. Registered visitors were able to buy or sell bank account numbers, false passports, driver's license, insurance policies, credit and debit cards, birth certificates, student cards, and social security cards. Between 2005 and 2007, more than 170 million credit and debit cards were purchased on the site. In May 2008, he was arrested for hacking the data of TJX companies and put in prison, where he'll not be released until 2025. Number 7. Kevin David Mitnick. Time and circumstances change people. We'll talk about a hacker who currently works as an information security consultant that is moved to the white hackers. The story of the capture of Kevin David Mitnick deserves a separate film, which will be better than hacking. Kevin Mitnick believes that he's not engaged in hacking. He calls his work social engineering. He started doing this at the age of 15 when he learned how to bypass the punch card systems on Los Angeles buses. He picked up unused tickets in the trash, as a bus driver once told him where to buy his own punch. Later, Mitnick hacked the networks of such giants as Pacific Bell, Nokia, IBM, Motorola, and many others. When Mitnick was arrested in 1995, his skills seemed so comprehensive to the judge that he was ordered to put the hacker in solitary confinement. It was assumed that in other circumstances, Mitnick could start a nuclear war by just tapping a couple of codes into the phone. Kevin spent a total of 5 years in prison. This image was formed largely because Kevin was engaged in hacking, as if for fun and sport, without regularly earning anything from the occupation. Even when he was on the run, he went to a regular job, was a modest and unremarkable technician at a medical centre. Number 8. Jonathan James. Jonathan James is the first American underage hacker to be arrested for cybercrime in the United States. The guy started hacking as a teenager. Even then, he could hack any government or commercial network. He hacked the Bell South system, the Miami-Dade school system, NASA, and the US Department of Defense database. James stole the government software in an amount of $1.7 million. Then it inserted itself into the source code of the ISS program. James roamed the net freely and stole several files, including the source code of the International Space Station. When this was discovered, NASA had to shut down all its computers for 3 weeks. It caused them $41,000 in damage. Then the hacker was sentenced to 6 months of house arrest and set a conditional release until adulthood. Jonathan's story is very tragic. Allegedly, because he was accused of committing attacks of which he's not involved, he committed suicide in 2008. Number 9. Vladimir Levin. Can you imagine that it's possible to hack large Citibank accounts from all over the world and transfer $10.7 million to some accounts without even using the internet? The person who was able to do this became a living legend of hacking, and at the same time was named one of the most 10 dangerous criminals of the last decade. Vladimir Levin, an educated microbiologist who did not become a doctor. Computers were just a hobby for him, and Vladimir never received special education for mastering computer literacy. One day in New York, the Center for Electronic Money Transfers of Citibank funds was noticed incomprehensible movements of large amounts of money. Money from the bank's subsidiary accounts was literally transferred via electronic networks to dummy accounts in banks in Israel, Finland, Russia, and other countries. The hacker obtained information about account numbers and passwords by listening to phone conversations of bank clients. Within a few days, about $12 million was transferred in this way, some of which has not yet been found. Number 10. Gary McKinnon. Gary McKinnon is a Scottish hacker facing extradition to the US on charges of the largest hacking of military computers in history. Gary engaged in criminal activity while sitting at his girlfriend's aunt's computer. He used a 56 kilobit modem, drank beer, smoked marijuana, and called it research. McKinnon never considered himself to be a hacker, and never communicated with other hackers. Obsessed with science fiction since childhood, he was convinced the US was suppressing alien technology and UFO evidence. From February 2001 to March 2002, McKinnon managed to hack almost 100 servers of the US defense system and the NASA system. When Gary calmly talks about why he was snooping and what he saw, it becomes obvious that his beliefs are genuine. After Gary's arrest in Alexandria, Virginia, the US government tried its best to extradite Gary to the United States. After that, Gary declared he would kill himself to face an unfair accusation. After the great battle of mother for her only son began, Gary's mother spent the next 10 years in a relentless battle not to extradite Gary. Even the US judiciary could not resist the struggle of a mother for her son. In October 2012, Janice, his mother, finally won. It was an impressive victory. The story of Gary McKinnon is also a true story of the struggle of a mother who wants to save her son from a life behind bars. If you, like our heroes, have good skills in IT, technology, or programming, do not rush to follow their example. Unfortunately, most of these stories have a sad ending. After all, it's better to direct your knowledge to something that will benefit people. Thanks for watching, and click the bell button to subscribe videos and not miss anything.